This episode of the Media Leader podcast was edited by our production partner, Trisonic. And if you're looking for podcast production support, we highly recommend them. Find them at trisonic.co.uk.
We've seen a real growth in what I'd call kind of niche communities online. So whereas before we might publish things just under the main Sun banner, now we're taking off successful shows and creating our own franchises around them. And the talent is really at the heart of that.
Welcome to the Media Leader podcast. I'm Jack Benjamin. News UK's The Sun is one of many publishers to embrace video in recent months. According to the publisher, its videos have driven 60 million views and a 110% increase in returning viewers, and its movement into video has helped secure new sponsors, including Alwyn, DAZN, Betfair, Card Factory, and 32 Red. Owen Griffiths is the commercial revenue director of The Sun. In partnership with News UK at the Cannes Lions Festival of Creativity last month, my colleague James Longhurst sat down with him to discuss The Sun's video strategy, what makes the publisher's output unique, and how the World Cup is driving growth this year. This is their conversation. I hope you enjoy.
Hi, and welcome to Seedtag House. This is the Media Leader podcast. I'm James Longhurst, and I'm delighted to be joined by Owen Griffiths, who's the commercial director of The Sun. Owen, how's Cannes been for you so far?
Well, I think it would be tried to say hot, but we'll get that out of the way first. No, it's been really interesting, I think. We were chatting about this earlier. There's just so much going on this year and so many themes popping up again and again. And I think for us at News UK, and particularly on The Sun, one of the things we're seeing and really leaning into is this idea of putting creators at the heart of content. As we move into a world of long-form original video, where we're kind of trying to follow consumer habits, I think putting our journalists and positioning them as creators themselves is something that we're seeing real success from. And that's been the focus of a lot of the conversations we're having, both with brands and agency partners out here.
Amazing. As the Sun would say, it's been a scorcher.
It definitely has, yeah.
So Sun Originals is your new kind of video brand and your new approach to video. Talk to me about that. You've had some really impressive audience numbers.
Yeah, so we are now the single biggest news brand on YouTube. So one of the things we've done with Sun Originals is really start to use what we're calling collective scale. So I think previously we would talk about scale on the Sun in terms of single platforms, so whether that was the newspaper in the old world or then the website. Now with video, we're able to distribute that across many platforms, whether that be YouTube for long form, social for short form, and start to really expand out and use that. For us, it's really around starting to reach new audiences through those, and then obviously commercially start to attract new advertisers and show how we can amplify their message with that. So I think, for instance, one of the things we've done is obviously it's the World Cup now. So as you would imagine, The Sun is leaning heavily into that. We've done a partnership with Hawkstone on our Proper Football Daily show.
Okay.
And they have, of course, won a Cannes Lion this year for their work on the choir. But we've been able to take that base creative idea, start seeding it into a football show. So we'll have the choir kind of sing the theme. And for them, that's reaching an entirely new audience and getting their brand out with a slightly different message, but still with the core of that kind of creative heart.
That sounds really interesting. And what's the uniqueness about The Sun bringing to that? Because obviously, you've talked about YouTube success. What's the kind of Sun value that brings that and brings an audience to it?
I think for us, it's obviously the production value that we can bring to that. We have studios. One for the World Cup, we've built a purpose-built studio in our New York offices. In London, we've got 2 or 3 studios. Of course, as News UK, we own a broadcasting business, so we are well versed in creating high-quality editorial propositions. And then this is something that I think advertisers have really cottoned onto with us. It's actually allowing us to tie it all together in a 360 approach. Sure. So I think when we started this program, we thought this would be very much around kind of YouTube social first. But actually what we're seeing is the value in how you connect that message across all our different touch points and how you can kind of bring those different touch points to deliver different results for the client. So for instance, we worked with Midnight Bet on our Tactics Exposed show. So again, a sort of flagship show.
Yeah.
You think about what they're trying to do is, one, they're a kind of newer, smaller brand in the industry. So the headline video serves very much as a kind of branding purpose. Let's drive brand awareness from them. Can people recognize their brand? And then you'll take that all the way back to articles on the website, which are far more kind of CTA focused and, sign up to bet here. And we're delivering them to first time depositors and crucially new accounts.
Sure. Are you taking a different approach to commercial video versus editorial video then as well?
Well, this, interestingly, all the production is run from editorial, but it's probably the first time we've done a truly kind of joint commercial and editorial proposition. So whenever we're planning on which show or which area to go into, we're almost looking at a kind of Venn diagram of what's got commercial interest, what's got editorial interest, what areas do we have a right to play in? I think, it would be weird if the Sun suddenly started to do a luxury show, for instance.
Yeah.
But if we're doing sport or travel or entertainment and showbiz, those feel like our heartland and naturally will extend to what we're doing. So anywhere where those two things meet, I think is a space we can convincingly play in.
You mentioned the World Cup. Obviously a massive conversation at Cannes, a massive conversation back in the UK as well. How are you approaching that?
So with us, it's been our very first kind of video first World Cup. So as I mentioned, we've got studios set up in New York, making content live on the ground, one of which is actually from the England training ground. So very much about placing our journalists at the heart of everything we're doing and trying to get that information out and provide as much thought and analysis as we can. I think we have to be conscious of our content that, in a world of, say, AI search, where people are no longer coming to us to ask, what time is the England game on? We have to have better content than that. So people will come to us to be, what does Dean Scoggins say about the tactics that Thomas Tuchel need to use, particularly after Tuesday's results? How are we going to change that?
Yep.
And then I think beyond that, it's how we've expanded the content. So the use of AI for us has been particularly important to allow us to really expand on creativity and do what it is. So we would normally live blog at least all the England matches, maybe Scotland and the other home nations. With the use of tooling now, that allows us to live blog every single match in a tournament as it happens in our tone of voice. And of course, there's still a human in the loop checking those things, but it's being able to kind of power that creativity for us.
So how are you seeing AI then? That's both an opportunity, and you mentioned earlier that the user behavior is changing. Is AI a threat to publishers like you?
I mean, I guess we could talk about it as a threat. I prefer to talk about the opportunity. We talk about kind of AI supporting creativity for us. And actually, I think that's probably one of the themes you've heard come out of Cannes. I think the CEO of Dentsu the other day was talking about AI and PI, like people intelligence. At News Corp, on a kind of global level, we have a phrase which is people-powered AI accelerated, which I think gets into a similar theme for that. So that's very much how we view it. And I think even if you think about kind of AI search, and I talked about the shifting content there, for us, it's an opportunity to get back to what we do properly, which is in-depth storytelling and journalism that can be trusted. It's ultimately what the LLMs have built their platform on. So for us, I think it may provide an opportunity for us to be more visible, and the trust and power that comes with that journalism will really come to the fore.
Brilliant. And you've talked a little bit about journalists as creators now, so kind of a new approach. How are you doing that? And frankly, how do your journalists feel about it?
Well, I think it's interesting. I think they're embracing it, really. So internally, we've set up a kind of creator network program, almost a hothouse for getting them ready. So they will come to us and be given our full kind of production support in how do you run 3 to 4 social channels? How do you show up on YouTube? Because going back to what we're doing in original videos, we've seen a real growth in what I'd call kind of niche communities online. So whereas before we might publish things just under the main Sun banner, now we're taking off successful shows and creating our own franchises around them. And the talent is really at the heart of that.
Sure.
So where we work with, say, momfluencers on our parenting show, No Parental Guidance, that's very similar to what, again, in Cannes, you'll see a lot of creators doing that, kind of creating shows and franchises, communities around themselves. We're doing the same thing. So it allows us to build up existing talent or also bring in outside talent where we feel it might provide a boost.
Amazing. Okay. Let's focus on the rest of the year. Can's over soon. We're back to what is
Back
it?
to reality.
Yeah, back to reality. Still, England win the World Cup. What does the back half of the year look like for you guys?
Well, I think we can all say if England win the World Cup, there is no recession, right? Like everything is cancelled. The news doesn't matter anymore. So that would be great. I think for us, it's continuing on the same path. So we're working on a new video experience in our app and online, which is called our Video Hub. So that's kind of live in beta now, but it will very much provide a kind of Netflix style experience for watching all of those shows on our own platforms. Okay. We want to focus more on kind of getting to know our audiences and getting a better connection for them. So we've recently launched Sun Club, which is a kind of membership tier to our audience. So not just about locking content, but rather providing our readers with more. Right. Sun has always provided great value to readers, but this is the extension of that.
Sure.
So growing that. And then finally, expansion in the US. We've had the sun.com for sort of 4 or 5 years now, and that continues to grow. And again, looking out there and thinking, where are the gaps in content there? What video could we reasonably own in that environment?
Sure. Brilliant. All right. Sounds really like an exciting end to the year for you guys, potentially. We've got a new Prime Minister, potentially.
Yes.
England might win the World Cup or not, but there's still lots to be done at Cannes. So I'm going to leave you to it, Owen. Thank you so much for our conversation this morning. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. Really good to have you.
Thank you for listening to the Media Leader podcast. Our executive producer is me, Jack Benjamin. Special thanks to our production partner, Trisonic. You can find all our episodes on the podcast platform of your choice or on our website at uk.themedialeader.com. But do please remember to subscribe to be notified of our next episode. You can also subscribe to our newsletter at The Media Leader to receive daily coverage of all the biggest news stories in media and advertising. From all of us at The Media Leader, I'm Jack Benjamin. See you next time.